it. So let's start with your mock draft of the first 13 picks. Chicago Bears, it's going to be Caleb Williams, right?
Caleb Williams, for sure.
Okay.
This has been known for quite a long time and, cemented, in my opinion, when the Chicago Bears, on all their pre-draft visits, they decided to bring in a one quarterback. Yeah. Unlike the next team we'll get to, who brought in everyone and they went to Topgolf. Yeah. But yeah, dude, like Caleb, I mean, on this show, let me just make it very clear. All the episodes we've been doing, we've talked about Justin Fields a lot. I would have loved to see, them stick with Justin Fields
with you,
trade back from the one, but they're not. They're not doing that. Okay, Justin's in Pittsburgh, which I think has a chance to actually compete with Russell Wilson for the starting job.
Completely agree.
But I love the idea that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are all in on Caleb Williams. They have built a team around him now that you don't have to be Caleb Williams. For me, the issue I have, everyone's like, Chase, you're so positive on these quarterbacks. Give me some negative stuff. Okay, well, the negative stuff, the hero ball mentality that he has and that he had really last year at USC. If you go back and look at his tape in 2022, it's pretty good tape because he was surrounded by a much better team. Jordan Addison was there, who's now in the Minnesota Vikings, who's a baller. He had guys. He got into a little bit of a bored mindset this year. What does that mean? I think that he would drop back, and if one wasn't open, he's like, oh, let me go see what kind of cool stuff I can do. Let me run around. Let me go left. Let me go right. And it was highlight reel after highlight reel after highlight reel. He only threw 5 interceptions last year, so he protected the football. 3 of them came against Notre Dame, which was his worst game he's ever played as a pro. A big loss on the road.
I love the
he
fact
did
that
have
you said
a fumbling issue.
I love the fact that you said as a pro.
Yeah. But I do think that, there's going to be some issues. And I don't think it's necessarily on the field stuff. Because on the field, the arm and pocket awareness are next level. You're talking and I told you this, and I'm going to say it again, he's a better prospect now than when Patrick Mahomes first came out and was getting recruited from Texas Tech. If Patrick was as good of a prospect as Caleb Williams is now, he would have went 1 overall.
Can I just
I'm
say
not
something?
saying he's going to be the ceiling. Yes, please do.
Can I just say one thing?
Come on.
I hate that we're putting this on this kid. Okay?
Yeah.
I
He
read
sort of asked for it.
Well,
he's living in LA in a $5 million top shelf mansion.
No. What I'm saying is, and you very may well be right. And I read something else in Sports Illustrated. One AFC executive was quoted as saying he's a more athletic Patrick Mahomes. Can we just not put that on this kid? What you, I get what you're saying, but when people hear that, they're not going to hear the context in which you said it. They're not going to hear the context in which that executive made that comparison. All they're going to hear is, holy shit, this guy's better than Patrick Mahomes. And that is a pox that this kid does not deserve. He does not deserve
That's why I didn't say better than him. I just said prospect-wise.
I hate that for this kid. Yeah. I just want Caleb Williams to be Caleb Williams, and we'll see what happens. But when I hear so many, it is Patrick, I'm like, just calm the fuck down. Okay, everybody. This kid, let this kid have a fucking chance, man. Give him a chance before we do that to him.
And I do think that's what Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus have done. They've given him a chance. DJ Moore, go out and get Keenan Allen, retooled offensive line. They're probably going to draft another receiver higher than most think in this draft as well, which we'll get down to. But I do think that all the pieces are in place. And we talked about, I'm not going to hit it because this show isn't about RG3, but he was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday, and he reiterated his point that he thinks that, Caleb Williams should pull an Eli Manning. I personally think that Caleb Williams is going into the best position possible right now for a rookie quarterback other than the Minnesota Vikings. With everything he's surrounded with, they have a top 7 defense the last 10 games of the year. He doesn't have to play hero ball. That's where Shane Waldron and this coaching staff have to be great at. They have to get the absolute best out of them while understanding that a throwaway or an incompletion is not bad.
Yeah, and listen, you're right. This show is not about RG3, thankfully, but I do have to agree with you. If Justin Fields was walking into the position that Caleb Williams was in, Justin Fields would not be a Pittsburgh Steeler right now. Yeah, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen. A defense, by the way, for Fields' first 2 years, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. And now, as you said, they were a top 10 defense last year, top 7 of the last few games of the regular season. So the idea that Caleb Williams is walking into a terrible situation makes no sense from what's known as a football perspective. So I don't want to hear any of that crap ever again. All right, so Caleb Williams going number 1. Now, in your mock of the top 13, we've allowed trades. So the Washington Commanders have the second overall pick. Are they sticking with it? Are they making a trade?
They're sticking with it, no doubt. It's the best position to be in, and what better or who better to take than Jaden Daniels. I just really, really think this is an excellent situation for the Washington Commanders to be able to have a top-flight guy like Jaden Daniels. And during my quarterback breakdowns on YouTube, during my stuff on Twitter, and us talking on the show, like, I've raised the bar of, like, Caleb Williams is going to go 1 because I think the Bears love him. Jaden Daniels, in my opinion, is not far below him. I really, just pure football-wise, I don't think I've seen in the short time I've been doing this, but also, like, I pay attention while I was still playing in college and stuff. I don't know if I've seen a better pure progression passer at coming out and being able to, like, step on a stage, because this is what Cliff Kingsbury does. It's pure progression. It's sweep the board left to right. Is 1 open? No. Go to 2, go to 3, go to 4. I've seen, against some of the top opponents that Jaden Daniels has played, I have seen, like, him get through progressions at a clip that is just not normal, that some NFL guys, most NFL guys, can't do it. He understands route concepts. He understands when to get off of 1, when to get to 2. And I just think he's, like, obviously everyone knows how gifted as a runner he is, right? But I think the pocket passing, the presence that he has is like next level. Like, he's a perfect blend of that. And you look what Cliff Kingsbury was able to get out of Kyler Murray in the short time that Kyler Murray was healthy. I think Jaden Daniels is a better runner. I think Jaden Daniels can be and will be better than Kyler Murray. I just really like him, like the unique combo of, like, pocket passer and runner. The only issue I have with him, and it's he's frail, man. He is really, really small. He's thin. And so when he's running the football in college, he was a human pinball machine. He would get thrown around left. You cannot do that at this next level. And as you know, the best ability is availability for the quarterback position. Yeah. No more screams this than you got to get down Jaden Daniels. Got to protect yourself better.
Well, 2 things about Jaden Daniels. I agree with you. He is slight, but that you can work on that. All right, you can work on that. He can bulk up a little bit, and it's not going to affect him as much because, they don't want him running around as much. And my friend Herm Edwards has a great line about that. Know when the journey is over. And Jaden needs to understand when the journey is over. And speaking of Herm, people may have forgotten that Jaden started with Herm when Herm was the head coach at Arizona State. And he had really, really good productive years at Arizona State. And Arizona State decided they weren't really going to participate in NIL. And Herm said, go, fly, be free. So that's how he ended up at LSU. Wow. And I was with Herm over the weekend, my man, my road dog. And I said, what do you think about Jaden? He said, he's Randall Cunningham. He said he has the potential to be the next Randall Cunningham. And he said he's a little undersized, but I think he can put on some weight. And, you're talking about pinball. I mean, no one was more of a pinball than Randall during his first few years in the NFL, bouncing off Carl Banks and throwing touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. So, I think that's an interesting look, and we'll see what happens with Jaden Daniels. All right, so number 3 is the New England Patriots. Clearly, they need a quarterback because Bailey Zappi was in and out of that starting job, and they traded away Mac Jones. Do you see the New England Patriots staying at 3 and taking a quarterback, or do they make a trade?
The Minnesota Vikings are going to be picking number 3. They are trading with the New England Patriots. I think Elliott Wolf and the Patriots are open for business. Look, I know they need a quarterback. They absolutely do. But there's a reason you go out and you get Jacoby Brissett. Just in case something were to happen, he's not the long-term answer. The Patriots will still get a quarterback in this draft. But I think the Vikings love Drake May too much to pass him up and to let him get down. And look, Kevin O'Connell and obviously McCown, who coached him, who's the quarterback coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Every executive, every scout, every insider I've known to date has said, if the Vikings can get to 3, if the Commanders don't pick Drake May, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to pick Jaden Daniels like we just said, for sure the Minnesota Vikings will leverage their entire franchise on getting up and drafting Drake May.
Whoa. When you say leverage their entire franchise,
I think they're really willing to give multiple first-round picks to move up.
For Drake May?
And they're going to have to, yes. I absolutely – I think that they love him. However, in my latest quarterback rankings, I've only done it once, and I'm only doing one mock draft. I had Drake May as 5.
Okay.
Like that's so. Let me just explain.
So who did you? Obviously, we just talked about Caleb and Jaden Daniels. So there's 2 other players that we would have had in front of him. JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy is 3. Yep.
And
then Michael Penix is 4.
Really? Now Penix is your wild card, obviously, because a lot of people don't have that high of a feeling on him. So we'll get that in a minute. But to your point, Josh McCown was his high school football coach. There's a lot of connections, a lot of things that make sense there, right?
A lot of connections, and for me, I think the film of Drake May is good. You got to go back to 2022 for it to be better than good. For me, Drake is he's inexperienced, and I do think that if they're gonna go up this high and get him, he's probably gonna have to play right away. But you surround him with 2 of the better receivers in the NFL, and you surround him with the play caller and the acumen of Kevin O'Connell, and put him in a situation. Now they might say, "Hey, we're going to let Sam Darnold start the year, so you're not pressured to play right away." But in my opinion, the reason I have him at 5, I think he needs to sit a year. I think he needs to be maybe 2 and learn. And I think he needs to be on the Jordan Love plan. Look, I love the guy. He's a strong-arm guy. He's got a gunslinger mentality, which I think can be both good or bad. But if you watch the film, like I base my stuff on the film, yes, he can make every throw. Yes, he's strong country boy, like reminds me of sort of Phillip Rivers. He's the closest in person of any one of these guys that looks like a Justin Herbert, Phillip Rivers type. Like the dude is big.
He's thick.
I don't know how, he's thick. And I don't know how he does on the mental side of things. I've heard the interviews are well, but I just think based on purely his film, like he sees the field well, but getting through progressions is a struggle for him. I didn't see a lot of NFL-style concepts in that UNC offense like I have maybe in Jaden Daniels' offense or these others like J.J. McCarthy who ran a pro-style offense.
Yeah.
So I think I know that the Vikings love him. Do the Vikings give up enough to move ahead of the New England Patriots? I think they do. I think they're going to. I think they've fallen in love with him, and I think he's going to be the 3rd pick in the draft.
All right. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. You have Minnesota jumping up ahead of Arizona and any other team there to take Drake May. Maybe that's the reason why, with what Minnesota might do, is the Arizona Cardinals have basically come out and said, we're open for business. We're open for business, which means somebody come make us an offer because they don't want to be at 4. Because that when someone says that, when the GM of the Cardinals says that, that's telling you that they don't believe a player that they need on their team right now is worthy of the 4th overall pick. Just so people understand the code, okay? When someone says we're open for business, that means based on what they believe their team needs are, there's not a player that they want at 4. Okay?
Yep.
That means there's not a player they don't want. That there's not a player they want at 4. So do the Cardinals stay or does someone make a trade with Arizona?
Giants are going up to number 4 to pick J.J. McCarthy.
Despite the fact that so many people in New York are saying, don't do it. Don't do it.
They are. You look at Brian Dable's offense and you look at what he does really well, and it's get guys open at the next level. I think J.J. McCarthy is raw. I think that he doesn't have to play right away because you got Daniel Jones. You don't know what's happening with that. Okay, that whole situation they're saying publicly.
J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, but I do think, look, and honestly, like J.J. McCarthy, for me, he was my number 3, obviously. I wasn't a big J.J. McCarthy fan when I started watching. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I switched my tune a little bit on him because I do love the physical traits he brings. Probably had the best pro day out of any of these guys. And I just think that the inexperience factor, if you learn from a guy like that, if you learn from the offensive coordinator who had been with the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, like, I do think that, our guy JJ can be a good player. I don't know if you're going to play right away, but I do see 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. I don't know if it's ever been done before. You're the draft guy, but I didn't do my research on that. But I don't think it's ever happened.
Well, I think in 2018 we had Baker Mayfield 1, Saquon Barkley 2.
Yeah, so not 4 in a row.
Well, not 4 in a row. I said 4 in the top.
First 4 picks of the draft.
Yeah, no, that's never happened.
I got quarterbacks going. There you go. Yeah,
okay.
It's crazy.
So we'll see what happens there. And by the way, we're talking about how we're so starved for football attention. Daniel Jones was asked a question at a recent OTA or minicamp if he thinks he's the best option at quarterback, and he said yes. And people put that out there as if that's news. Like, what is he supposed to say? No, I suck, man.
No.
I should be the 5th option. Like, everyone just needs to calm down. We want so much football right now. Oh, Daniel Jones says he's the best option for the Giants at quarterback. Break into programming. What the hell else is he supposed to say? I suck, man. I'm terrible at this. That would have been news. The fact that he said a player thought he was the best option is not news. That's just somebody saying, I think I'm good. Okay, moving on. Your old team, the Chargers, at 5. Do they stay or do they make a pick?
I think they stay, and I think the biggest issue, why they stay is because they need a receiver, Trey.
They need someone
Marvin Harrison
for Justin.
Jr.
Herbie needs some
Let's
help.
go. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, yeah.
To the Chargers. He's the best receiver, I think, in the draft. Malik Neighbors, Rome are making their way up, but I do like Marvin Harrison Jr. He is an easy way. Look, I understand what they're trying to do there. They're trying to ground and pound. I love Marvin Harrison, what he does. He's generational talent. He's a guy you can plug into that offense and spend the next decade with Justin Herbert being your guy. You know you're going to get your touches. I love Josh Palmer. I love like Q from last year from TCU, the receiver. But they don't have.
He was okay. I mean, Q was not
but
great.
I do think he had 413 yards. Not great, but I do think there's a reason they picked him. I know it was an old regime. I do think they find a way for him. But Marvin Harrison Jr. might have 100 catches if he goes to the Chargers at number 5. I think they stick and pick.
It is kind of surprising, right? Because you take the quarterbacks out of the equation, and you could just best overall talent. It's hard to say that Marvin Harrison is one of the top 3 juniors and one of the top 3 players in the draft. So to get him at 5 players. So to get him at 5 would be huge. Okay, obviously 6 is the Giants. They've traded. Now, does Arizona stay at 6 or do they move back in your scenario?
I think Arizona stays at 6, and they need a receiver. I like Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, to me, is someone who I would have jockeyed for even right at Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah. The way he is able to handle every position on the field, inside slot receiver, outside slot receiver. They need a guy. They've gotten Kyler Murray as they've said, hey, you're our guy. You got to surround yourself with them. Look, I know they need tackle. I know they need other help. I love Malik Neighbors film. When you turn on just pure film and you talk about speed and you talk about 4.34 speed, like the yak is otherworldly. You see him throwing receiver screens, all that stuff. Malik Neighbors to Arizona makes a lot of sense for me.
And for people that would say, well, wait a minute, if you can, why are you moving back 2 spots to get a receiver you could probably get at 4? That's the Arizona Cardinals understanding the draft. The draft is not just about players; it's about the value of the pick. Okay,
they're going to get 2 picks back.
No, people do not understand this concept. A lot of people. It's not about what players can you get; it's how much value can you attack to the slot. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, yes, you could take Malik Neighbors at 4 and get the player you want, but the odds are, because of what we've talked about and how quarterback needy so many teams are and how quarterbacks are overdrafted every year, if you can drop back 2 picks and pick up capital and still get the player that you want in Malik Neighbors, that's a brilliant use of the draft. So people need to understand it's not just about drafting a player. It's about maximizing the value of the draft position that you have. And I think that's the equation that a lot of people don't think about when they watch the draft. Like, why would you go back just 2 slots to get out? You can get at 4. Because if I can get extra picks and still get the player I want at 6 instead of 4, then I've done my job and won as a general manager. And that's the thing that people don't understand. All right, 7, Tennessee Titans. Stay, stick.
Titans are staying, and they're taking Joe Alt. He's the best tackle in the draft, without a doubt. Massive human being, 6'8", 315. He's got an NFL pedigree. His dad, John Alt, was a Pro Bowl NFL tackle, and his brother, Mark, was an NHL player. I'm like, this dude's destined for greatness. He's a guy you can put at the left tackle position, protect your prized investment in Will Levis, because I really think they like him. I think Will is in for a big year. I'm buying the Will Levis hype. You got to protect your young guy. And look, Joe Alt, in my opinion, Notre Dame, he's the best tackle in the draft. He's strong. He's got really long arms. He's a super disciplined tackle who rarely makes mistakes. It's not a sexy pick for Tennessee, but they'll have Joe Alt at left tackle for the next 15 years.
Yeah, I think Will has established himself as a quarterback, and obviously as a new regime with Rand Carthon there and a new head coach. So they are clearly, I think, going to stick with Will and try and build around him. All right, 8, you have the Atlanta Falcons. They made the big move this offseason to get Kirk Cousins. Their offense, I think, is really interesting. What are they going to do now with Raheem Morris as a first-year head coach there?
Well, I love that you said their offense is really interesting, because it is. The Falcons have gone in the last 3 drafts, all top 10 picks, tight end, receiver, running back.
Drake London.
That's changing. They are picking Dallas Turner and Bijan Robinson, by the way, which are all 3 pillars of their offense. But I love Dallas Turner from Alabama, freak athlete, is more of a do-it-all guy, can rush the passer, can go down to the 5-tech, can play a 9-tech, can play third down rush. He's decent in flat coverage. He makes sense for that 3-4 scheme that Raheem Morris is. He can go cover the flat. I don't know if he's going to match up in the slot one-on-one with like a Malik Neighbors if they ever play, but he does a really good job. Obviously, the Alabama pedigree. He doesn't anchor well against stronger O-linemen, but what guy does nowadays that's rushing the passer? Their job is one thing and one thing only: disrupt the passer, get to the quarterback, and cause strip sack, force fumbles, and this is what this guy can do.
All right, next overall pick is 9th, the Bears. And a lot of people thought they might take a wide receiver at 9, but the trade to Keenan Allen, did that change things for you, or do the Bears stay there, or do they move back?
The Bears are staying there. This was hard for me because I know the Colts really need a receiver. They're at 16 or 17, wherever they're picking. They're a little further down. They had to give up too much ammo. But I like Rome from Washington. Rome is a guy that when you go and you watch his film, like the most, like the strongest hands of the class, contested catch rate is the highest. He led the FBS in receiving yards last year. He's a 50-50 ball winner. He's not like game-breaking speed fast. You have that on DJ Moore. But if you can go and you can tell me your starting receiver lineup for your first game as a quarterback, Caleb Williams, is DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome, Cole Kmet. Like, I'm loving it. Like top 4 or 5 like skill player positions
that's great
in the NFL.
Yeah, and again, if Justin Fields had walked into that situation, he's still a Chicago Bear. Like, he's still a Chicago Bear.
Totally.
I mean, it's that simple. Or then we have the New York Jets rounding out the top 10. Or do you have them trading?
They're staying. They're staying.
By the way, this is great for the Jets.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it'll give them something to talk about besides things Aaron Rodgers says in a microphone, which has been really cringeworthy yet again this offseason. So what do the Jets do? Because let's be honest, no matter who they pick at 10, their entire season depends on Aaron Rodgers coming back from that Achilles heel and being remotely close to what Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay.
Perfect setup for me, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but Olomouwe Fashanu. The dude, fashionista. Yeah, dude, the dude is, I should probably learn how to say that because I'm going to have to talk about it on NFL Network. I will. Fashanu is his last name. I know that's how you say it. Exactly what you just said. Like, they got to protect Aaron Rodgers. You're spending all this other time. I think he's the second best player in the draft, offensive tackle wise. I do think his ceiling may be higher than Joe Alt. He's only played like 20 games. Okay, he played 8 in 2022. He was second team All Big Ten Conference. He ended up being first team All-American in 2023. So you can see the growth that he's played with. He's a massive human being. Really like that guy right there for the Jets to protect Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so then we have the Minnesota Vikings scheduled to be at 11. They have moved back. That trade was with New England, right? If I'm not mistaken, following your
Our producer just said Olu Fushanu. Fushanu.
God bless
That's
you.
how you say it.
Okay, so now the Minnesota Vikings would have been at 11, but they made the trade with New England, right, to move up to 3. So the Patriots, are they sticking there or do they move back?
They need a receiver. Okay.
They need everything. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. They on the offensive side of the ball, they need everything. I mean, they may have a decent O-line and a decent situation at running back. They need a quarterback. They need depth at wide receiver. They need over the last couple of years of the Bill Belichick regime, there wasn't one player on the offensive side of the ball that scared you from New England. There's not one player on that side was like, I mean, they had some, like when Jacoby Myers there, he was a nice complimentary player. Nice compliment. But there's not one guy on that offense where an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator of another team would go, oh my God, we got to stop that guy. Doesn't exist. Do they get someone like that in this position?
That's changing. They're going to be scared of a guy named Brock Bowers. I love this pick there. Like, a lot of people forget about him. They don't talk about him a lot. Like, I know they want a receiver. The top 3 receivers are gone. I think this dude is the next Travis Kelce incarnated. Like, I really think this dude does it all. He's a rare blend of speed, agility, acceleration, like body control, the way he gets up. His frame can handle even more. I don't know if he's as shifty as a Travis Kelce. I think he's a decent blocker, like George Kittle-esque, right? Like a little bit of both, like top end speed. And I love him. Like, got Pro Bowl upside, like really, really Pro Bowl upside. If they can get a quarterback there, Brock Bowers is a top 10 pick at number 10 for the New England Patriots.
Well, but the key is, can they get a quarterback? But you're right. Brock Bowers is one of those guys, like you saw him play his freshman year, and if he was eligible, he would have been drafted after his freshman year. Like, that's how physically developed he was at an early age. Same way when you saw Trevor Lawrence play as a freshman at Clemson, you're like, that kid could get drafted this year. If he was eligible, he would have been drafted after his freshman year at Clemson University. No question about it. Okay, now we have the Denver Broncos, who have Jared Stidham and now Zach Wilson at the quarterback position.
Zach Wilson, come on over.
Yeah. So what are they going to do with Sean Payton there?
Look, you have four quarterbacks going in the top 4, okay? And I know, talking to some team sources, like, they love those 4 quarterbacks. They also like Bo Nix. It's too expensive to pick Bo Nix right here because if he doesn't work out, you've wasted, like, your pick.
It's the value.
They might trade back in.
To what you're saying, you're saying, this is another example of the value of the pick. So unless you are convinced that Bo Nix is going to be better than Caleb Williams, you do not take Bo Nix at 12.
Yep, and I like Leatu Latu from UCLA. He's probably the best pure pass rusher of all the group. The most important thing, medically, his neck, he got his neck really hurt in Washington. It's all good. It's cleared. Like, the dude is a beast. Like, his film is really good. Like, you see him, and I watched the Caleb Williams game against UCLA, and I was actually watching the film on Caleb Williams, not on Leatu. And when I was going through it, I'm like, who is this guy that keeps getting through the offensive line and getting Caleb off his spot? It was Leatu Latu. And it was like, the dude is an absolute beast. I think he's going to be, look, Denver got rid of a lot of people. I think that he's going to be a day 1 starter. He's going to affect the passer. He's actually pretty good against the run, really good motor, seems to never get tired. He anchors well, like I was saying, against the run. I love this pick for Denver right there. And I think Denver slides back up into the first round, possibly early second round, gets a quarterback. Maybe Bo Nix if he's around. Who knows?
And the other thing about Denver, and it sounds crazy, they gave up 70 early in the season to the Vikings, but to the Dolphins. But that defense really turned the corner in the second half of the season. And they lost some key players, including Justin Simmons. And when you're in a league, or division rather, where you have to play Patrick Mahomes twice a year, you better have tons of pass rushers. You better have tons of pass rushers. So that's why that pick makes a lot of sense. Your mock ends with the Raiders at 13. First of all, can we explain to everybody listening why you are stopping at 13?
Well, it's been 40 minutes in, and we've only got through 12. So I like to explain my picks. But honestly, like, let's be real. Like, this is a fun exercise. No one knows what's going to happen. Correct. And I can't just go make stuff up. Like, I feel really good about not making stuff up with these first 13 prospects. After that, I got no clue. I got no clue. So that's why we stop it at 13. Yeah.
All right, so is it the Raiders, or do they trade?
The Raiders are picking, baby. And the Raiders are picking Michael Penix Jr. I love this pick for him. Look, love Gardner Minshew. Love Aiden O'Connell.
But he's about to be a little less boy again, what you're saying. He's about to be a little less boy again, is what you're saying?
I didn't say it. You said it. You said it. Look,
we love Gardner. We love Gardner. But if this happens, that's what's going to happen.
totally. Tom Telesco gets his guy in his first draft in the GM of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think that everything I've heard about Michael Penix, everything, like, he hasn't been hurt in 2 years. His injuries were at Indiana. I get it. Like, it's a big deal. He like, when you watch this guy on film, the more I watch him on film, the more I absolutely love him. That's why he snuck into the top 4 of my quarterback rankings. I think he's 4. The Texas game. And I know, oh, Chase, you talk about the Texas game cemented this pick.
Yeah.
Because the way he was able to throw the ball, like, you talk about, like, in college, a lot of stuff is wide open. Texas covered stuff pretty well. The way he's able to fit into tight windows, just his overall like stature, like
You have an earthquake in San Diego. What's going on there? Just knock someone over.
It was this.
Dude, go with earthquake.
Second cheat sheet.
Go with earthquake.
Earthquake. He's got an 81-inch wingspan.
Yeah.
Okay, he's 6'2", 6'3". There's like 6'7" NBA guys don't have that.
Correct.
He's got 10.5-inch hands. Okay, we love hand size this time of year.
It's hand size season.
Top 10 all time
Yeah.
at the combine. Top 10 all time. Like, the dude is great, exceptional, like, probably the best deep ball thrower. I love, and I've heard that the Raiders love Michael Penix Jr. If he's there, which he should be, they're going to pick him.